Good.
Yep.
All right. Hey, everybody. I am very well aware that it's not Thursday night,
Yep.
and it's not even 7 o'clock. However, y'all getting a special edition this week.
Something different.
Something different. We're going to start a series that runs in addition to Thursday night at the gun shop on long range shooting. You can imagine doing what I do for a living. I hear so many questions, so many comments, so many conversations, asked for opinions that, this is a topic that's literally part of our life, my life every day. But what I have found out is that it's a very misunderstood topic.
Yeah.
And, I will be listening to people, they'll be asking me questions or bringing things up, and they're using terms or terminology that, frankly, they've heard it, but they really don't know what it means. They really don't know what effect it actually has. They just know they've heard this enough here, there, and yonder that they're supposed to ask a question about it.
Miss Holler said, "There's my handsome son."
That would be you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's you.
That was fast.
So, my good friend James Davis and I were talking, over the weekend, I guess.
Yeah. We was talking about. We had other projects in mind, talking about it, and sparked up another conversation about long range aspect of shooting.
So we decided to do a series of broadcasts because we're not going to try to pump all of this into one long broadcast. We'd be here all night. We're going to try to do this in a series of videos. Each one builds on the one before it. So tonight we're going to lay the foundation, and then we're going to start building on that foundation each week to come, and tackling different parts of it, and then hopefully at the end we will be able to put it all into organized playlist on the YouTube channel,
Yes.
so that you can click into each one in order. If you missed it, if you need to go back and pick something up, it'll be there. So, like I said, this is my good buddy James Davis. He is a much better long range shooter than I am.
On a good day.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think having him with us. I'm doing a lot of talking here, getting introduced. He'll be taking over a lot of the talking as we go on. So, what do you think we should start?
As we talked about earlier, earlier in the week, we spoke about it again this morning. We need to kind of lay a foundation because a lot of people, long range shooting might be 300 yards.
Yeah.
And to somebody like me, some of my rifles are zeroed at 300 yards, and I shoot groups at 300 yards. And long range to me is, I'm comfortable at 800, 1,000 yard shots with a 308. And some people may not be comfortable with that. So if we could start with the basics.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And guys, by that I mean, look, ever since the first fella picked a rock up and threw it, or or they picked up a stick and threw it. We've been trying to figure out how to throw it further and more accurately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we developed the spear. We developed slings. We developed the bow and arrow, trebuchets, catapults. The Chinese discovered gunpowder, and they started building the original hand cannons. Which, if we get one, you get to shoot it. I'm gonna pass
Chloe said that's my dad.
We'll shoot it from a distance.
from a distance.
Yeah,
Um,
long fuse.
you know, then you had the primitive firearms like the matchlocks and the flintlocks and the what they call the ones that were literally just a step up from a hand cannon where they had the fuse.
Oh,
That was right before the matchlocks.
that's what I remember is the matchlocks.
Well, right before that, you know, it was just like the hand cannon. They put a stock on it. It still had the fuse.
Is it like the Blunderblust or something?
No, that was later. But anyway, we'll call it hand cannon 2.0.
Yeah.
Then you went into matchlocks, flintlocks, cap locks. Then we got cartridges with the primer as part of the cart. You know, the
Yeah.
solid one-piece ammunition, kind of like you're familiar with today.
I think some of those were made out of paper in the beginning, wasn't
They were.
Miss Gail said James had a gun in his hand since before he could walk.
they? Yeah.
So did I,
Yep.
and I'm older than him.
Not by much, but we learn at a young age.
You know, so through all of that, what were we looking for? We were looking for ways to throw the rock further or throw the stick further
More accurately.
more accurately. I mean, you take the English longbows, these guys were making 200 and 300 yard shots on, you know, a man-sized target. But it took pretty much a man to pull that bow back too.
Yeah.
And we started refining our projectiles, you know. By that time, they're literally polishing the rocks before they put them in the sling.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah, make them cut the wind better. They're making, you know, they're bringing the arrows down, making sure they're, you know, getting them absolutely as straight as they can. And so ever since the beginning, we've tried to figure out how to throw things further and do it with accuracy. And, you know, we've always looked up to or told stories about those people that had that marksmanship skill or that ability. You know, think about it. You know, the story of King David and his sling.
Mm-hmm.
Or the reality of King David and his sling, because to me that's just as real as watching it happen.
Kyle Petty said, hey, hey, hey.
Hey, Kyle.
William Woods said, what's up, Tom?
What's up, Will? You know, now this next one could be fictional, could have been based off a real guy. Don't know, but it makes the point, and that's Robin Hood.
Yep, they made a lot of movies about him.
Yeah, but you know, was there really a guy that was based off whatever? It doesn't matter. You get the ideal.
Oh, yeah.
And then the real life Billy Dixon, who at fight at Adobe Wells laid in a buffalo hollow where there were 12 trappers or hunters. I think it was 12 when it started. And the Plains Indians came in on them by the hundreds, and they held off the first round, and they backed off. And with Billy Dixon laying in a buffalo wallow, and Indian medicine man dancing and doing his medicine dance, he fired that old sharps at just over a mile and killed the medicine man. And of course that broke the attack, because now the idea was their medicine was bad, the luck was bad, this was not a good thing to do. And those guys were able to get out of there. Or Take the snipers in World War II that were in the South Pacific. You know, many times they're there with a very small American contingents, and they're outnumbered literally 400 or 500 to 1 by the Japs. But as a good friend of mine who was there and was part of it, Mr. E.C. McDonald, would say, then the snipers went to work. And, you know, they would take out the command center, take out the officers, take out the leadership from distance, which, you know, at that time in that terrain, they were shooting around 600 yards most of the time. And to us now, you know, that's no big deal. But these guys got, you know, somebody walked in and handed them a rifle with a very, very primitive scope on it and some Lake City Arsenal match ammunition and said, now you a sniper, go snipe.
Primitive stuff to today's stuff.
Very. And they went out there and they did the job. And so many times because of what the snipers there did, the 400 to 1 didn't matter, because once the snipers would go in and take out the officers, they're so regimented, the rest didn't know what to do, and they would break down into like bonsai charges against machine gun positions. And you can figure that didn't work well for them.
No.
And you would end up taking the island. Or guys like Carlos Hathcock, I mean, or Chris Kyle, John Sperling, or Scully.
I know those guys.
You know, what are they all known for? They're known because they could take little bullets and hit little targets at a very long way. And we tell stories about them. And, you know, some of these are names that are known in the mainstream. Some of them's not. But they're the guys people tell stories about because of the ability and the skill. So what we're going to do in this series is we're going to look at what it takes to be able to make the long shots. We're going to look at the concepts and the ideas, and we're going to break it down. Like one of my university professors used to say, we're going to put it on the bottom shelf. We're going to break it down there and get it where people can understand it. And the next thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to move in and we're going to talk about definitions.
So what you're saying is we're going to school.
When James and I were talking about this earlier, we're like, yes, we got to lay a foundation, and we got to get it on, you know, but to build that foundation, we all got to be able to speak the same language.
Kind of understand.
So we're going to kind of go over what a lot of these things you've heard mean and what their importance is, and that way we got something to build on later. If we're getting any questions, comments, or insults on
Not yet.
Facebook, just
I've piped in whenever
Okay.
there's something.
so, James, you can see written on this piece of paper here my idea of the definitions of range. Would you change that?
No, I wouldn't, because that's pretty much the same thing that's in my dope book now.
You know, when I'm trying to define long range shooting or range shooting, okay? If you want to take notes, this is how my mind works. From 0 to 300 yards is short range. From 300 yards to 600 yards is mid range. From 600 yards to 1,200 yards is long range. 1,200 yards plus is what we call extreme long range, extended long range, or, you know, abbreviated ELR. So when we're referring, as we go through this and we're referring to it, if we're talking about short range shooting, that's going to be something inside from 0 to 300. Mid range, we're going to be talking about shots that fall between 3 and 6. Of course, long range, 6 to 12. And 1200 plus will be referring to as ELR. But I think having these definitions helps.
Yeah. You can categorize calibers,
Yep.
per effective range.
You can. There's so many things because there's so many times I'm standing here at the counter and some guy comes in and we're having a conversation and he says, "Mr. Tom, I want to get into shooting some range on whitetail." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. Well, what are you thinking?" "Well, I've never been able to shoot very far. I think I need to shoot. I want to be able to shoot 300 yards." Okay. Well, 300 yards is a long way to shoot an animal, and that's something we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
My mind didn't go to 300 yards when he started talking about trying to shoot things at range. Would yours? My mind's going to 5, 6, 7, 800 yards.
Yeah.
So by having definitions and having that established, I think it helps clarify the conversation and nobody's making assumptions. Because what it takes to get a gun to do quarter-inch group at 300 yards versus what it takes to make the same thing happen at 1,200 yards can get really different really fast.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, let's just take a minute and talk about this. There is a huge, huge difference in hunting range and target range. Okay? Just because you can hit a target at 1,000 yards don't mean that same rifle and load combination, everything is good to shoot a deer with at 1,000 yards.
No.
I know you got on this the other day. Just take that one and go with it where you want.
Well, it all comes down to if you think if you're shooting a 308 with a 180 grain bullet at 2,500 foot a second at the muzzle, and the effective range of that shooting target, 1,000 yards easy. But what's that bullet doing at 300 yards? What's it doing at 600 yards? How much velocity have you lost? There comes a point where that bullet loses its effectiveness to harvest an animal ethically. So, but when you're shooting at steel, it don't matter. When you're shooting at an animal, your effective range comes into play. There's a lot of variables there, and you want to do your long range target shooting and your hunting on two different. It's two different levels of shooting.
It's two different standards.
Yeah.
Look, if we miss a steel plate or we hit the edge of it or whatever, big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
an hour ride home, you're probably gonna rag on me some, but
Yeah, but we get another day. We're not out there.
But now when you pull that and you shoot an animal, now you've made something suffer.
Yeah, you're suffering out there trying to hunt it down and finish it.
If a lot of people even bother because when they're shooting that far, you don't get reaction a lot of times from the deer.
No, or, bullet
Eventually,
goes right by 'em.
it just
They'll run
walks off, and
Yeah.
nobody ever goes and looks because they assume they missed. And that's just not ethical. It's not. It's not right. So there's a whole different category when it comes to picking bullets for hunting and target shooting. establishing ranges. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that's going to want to argue with that, and they're going to get all stressed, and they're going to poke their chest out, and you know, me bad man, me do it anyway. Okay, go ahead. You're a damn idiot.
Oh, goodness.
You ain't impressing the girls, and you ain't impressing the shooters. All you're doing is making yourself a legend in your own mind. Target shooting and hunting distances are different. There's different constraints. And we will do some stuff on how to pick it for hunting. We're doing this one on long range target shooting,
Yeah.
this series, and we will get into doing a series on, you know, how to optimize things for hunting. And I promise you, that one's going to go places that you don't see coming. So getting into a few other things. So we have definitions. Let's get into the overview of what makes up a cartridge and what's important about that cartridge in making up a cartridge. What are the parts of a bullet?
Well,
Grab that nozzler, you know, trying to box right there, and I'll kind of try to hold one up here and point at it. Those should be long anyway. I don't know. I think they're your daughters.
She said they were ours.
they're open now.
Yep, that's okay.
Well, I said that. And that is a 165 grain 30 caliber bullet.
So this would be a
It would be a great round for hunting.
For deer, elk, bear, moose, and African game, I bet.
But I want you to notice here we got what's called the boat tail. This is called a boat tail bullet. Do you see the cut on the back of the bullet? You see the step on the back of the bullet?
Come on.
Basically, we
There
have
we
two
go.
things. We have boat tails and we have flat base. Boat tails are supposed to fly better. And they're a little easier when you're reloading to get in the case.
Yeah. Scar nearly as bad.
Yeah, they start really nice. But then a thing you'll hear us talking about a lot is the oglip of the bullet, which is right about here. I guess my glasses got it right. It's where the bullet goes, where the bullet taper goes into being the size of the bore. It's at that particular point. You want to tell them why that's important?
That's where your rifling is touching.
That's where your rifling first engages the bullet. So, a lot of times when we're talking about measuring for match ammunition, and you hear people talk about, we'll get into this term in a minute, cartridge overall length, they're not measuring from here. They're measuring from the oglip.
That's where your bullets going to impact the rifling.
Right.
Where your pressure is going to start building.
And that is many times where people take their measurement from. But we'll get into that more in a little bit.
Yeah.
So basically, we have the tip of the bullet, we have the oglip, we have the body of the bullet, and then we either have a boat tail or a flat base. And the reason to know these things is because as we build later, you're going to find that people talk about taking measurements from different places. And if you don't know what the oglip is or how to find it, you may not. And they say, okay, this is your overall length from the oglip to the base. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's OGLIV.
Oh, yeah, I get it mixed up too. I can read it. I know what what
Yeah.
I'm looking for on the dial when
And-
when I'm loading.
You know, it looks like OGLIV to me, so that's what we're going to call it. So knowing the parts of the bullet, knowing if they're talking about shooting a flat base bullet versus a boat tail bullet, it's going to make a difference as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about brass?
That's a
Okay,
my mind is going.
brass 101. We got the mouth, we got the shoulder, we got the neck, we got the body, we got the rim.
Mm-hmm. And then you got your belted magnums, which is
In a basic cartridge, you got the mouth of the cartridge, which is where the bullet goes in. We've got the neck of the cartridge, which is this area here. The shoulder, which is here. The case body. And then the rim, some people call it the base. There's 100 different names for it. You can see how it's slightly rebated so an extractor can get into that case. That's because this case was designed to feed through a semi-automatic.
mm-hmm.
And then you got the primer pocket here in the back. But knowing those and the proper names for them and how to find them and where they're at are going to be important as we go on. Because if we start referring later to something like this, just knowing those basic things allows you to keep up in the conversation.
Yeah.
And know where the conversation is going and what's happening with it. Keeping this simple, keeping it on the simple part.
I know I'm trying to think that way. My mind's racing when you start talking about brass because I'm sitting here
We will
looking
get
at
more in depth with that tonight. We're laying definitions.
definitions. I'm getting there.
Hey, this took me all day to prepare for this.
I know it took me a week.
You know, I've you know, most of us, if we got a gun that shoots a half inch at 100, are tickled.
Yeah. That's a pretty good standard to go by.
Yeah, I mean, if we're shooting a half inch at 100, we're tickled. But what's the true difference for a long range shooter between a half inch gun and an eighth inch gun?
Hits or misses at long range.
But I don't think people realize, you know, if you're shooting a 20-minute target, 20-inch target at 1,000 yards, the difference between a half inch and an eighth inch group at 100 is the difference between a hit or a miss on that target at 1,000.
In perfect conditions.
So why are we always striving to get that group tighter if we're talking about shooting long range? Simply because it makes hits easier to get.
Yes.
John Miller says hi.
Do what?
John Miller says hi.
Hey, have we got anybody much?
Yeah.
Hey, John. And the difference between a 1-inch gun and a half-inch gun, even at 800 yards, can be mind-blowing. Because here's the thing: if you're shooting if you're staying with a gun that shoots 1 inch. And that holds true, okay? We're going to say that holds true. Let me just go ahead and define a term for you. I'm going to take a break to find a term for you right here. MOA, minute of angle. Okay. Minute of angle is, gosh, I'm having a brain fart. 1 point. 1.047 inches at 100 yards. So pretty much we round that to 1 inch at 100. Okay. So MOA would be 1 inch per every 100 yards. So 1 inch would be an MOA at 100. 2 inches would be an MOA at 200. 3 inches at 300, so on and so forth. So if we're at 800 yards and our gun's staying consistently a minute of angle gun, then that gun should be shooting an 8-inch group at 800 yards. Now, if I'm shooting a half-inch gun, a true half-inch gun, then I should be shooting a 4-inch group
At 800 yards.
at 800 yards. So if we take that on out, that's going to be 10 inches at 1,000 or 5 inches at 1,000.
Jordan Taylor says, "Hey guys, happy Wednesday."
Hey, Jordan. And you can just extrapolate that out as far as you want to go.
Yeah.
And you see those numbers get further and further apart. One's always half as big as the other. Now, if you take a 1-inch gun versus a quarter-minute gun, it really starts to exaggerate. You know, at 500 yards, a minute of angle gun shooting 5 inches. Say a half minute would be 2.5, and then you take another quarter off that would be, is it 1.75?
Oh, you didn't get the math part of that. You'd have to ask Chloe that. She knows that better, not know the math part. Maybe she knows.
So
She's
anyway,
listening.
if you're shooting it, okay, if you're shooting a 1 minute gun, you're going to be 5 inches at 500 yards.
Yeah.
If you're shooting a half minute gun, you're going to be 2.5 inches.
So yeah, it would be.
So if you're shooting an 1/8 minute gun, you will be 1.257 because it's going to cut in half again.
Yeah.
Yep, 1.25. So from 5 inches to 1.25 inches is the difference between a 1-inch gun and an 1/8 inch gun. Or quarter-inch gun. Quarter-inch gun.
Yeah.
Because if you went to an 1/8 inch, you would have to cut that 1.25 in half again. Which would be, what, 1 point, or point
Be like
625. Yeah,
somewhere in there.
0.625.
Me and
So,
math don't get along.
When
so
you're
good.
striving and you get down, you start hitting that 1/8 inch gun. Now you're talking about a group just that's, well, 0.625, 6.25 tenths of an inch compared to 5 inches. So This is why getting the minute of angle, getting the groups down matter.
Yeah.
Because with that 1/8 inch gun, I have a lot of forgiveness at 1,200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I start extending that out there, and I'm shooting even though I'm shooting a 1 minute plate, which is a 12-inch plate, which wouldn't be uncommon. To,
No, not at all.
that would be a common target size. I have a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah.
If I'm doing my part and I've got my gun sighted properly, and I'm shooting a true 1/8 inch gun, then I have a little room to make a mistake on my end
Yeah.
because my equipment, and we're going to say I shoot up to my equipment.
Yeah.
My equipment's going to help cover that.
It helps your curve on your wind calls.
Oh yeah, a lot. Elevation's easy, guys.
Yeah.
Elevation is adding and subtracting.
That wind is that's what gets you.
Wind. I don't know. You could do what EC did. He decided one year he's going to go shoot the Wimbledon. He's tired of fighting the wind. So he built a match grade tack driving 458 Winchester.
Yeah. Wind ain't gonna mess with that one once.
No, but he said after about the fourth shot, he was done.
Yeah. That's some recoil.
I don't know what that rifle weighed, but
Wasn't enough.
it wasn't enough. But this was, man, it stood about 6'7", weighed about 320. Grew up cutting lumber with mules in Hatchie Bottoms.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot of recoil.
Yeah, laying prone.
Chloe said wind calls suck.
Yeah, he said he was fine. He was hitting.
Yeah, but it was hitting
First,
back.
first few shots, he didn't have to fool with the wind at all. He said after that, he was trying to fool with not flinching.
Yep.
Yeah, wind calls are rough. And we will get into wind calls. And, you know, believe me, there's a science to it, but it's also a little magic, I think, involved. Because I'm not real good at wind calls.
It seems like the further out you get, the harder it is.
Well, it is because you start getting different wind.
Yeah, you'll get different crosswinds the further you go.
You know, you might have a 12-mile-an-hour wind right in front of the muzzle blowing hard right to left.
Mm-hmm.
And at 400, you've got that wind shifting from blowing hard right to turning down range and getting behind the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may end up hitting a headwind at 8. And then, you know, the ones that's always fun is when they do that swirly thing down there.
Yeah.
And you just go, shit.
That's when you start swagging it.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few hits off of that.
If this is going to move the bullet this much, this should move it back over here this much. And then it's going to swirl around and shoot it out like a damn pinball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell, hold it right there and shoot.
And listen for steel.
But we'll get deeper into that. But guys, that's what I'm trying to tell you. When you understand it, when we're talking about MOA, we're talking about minute of angle. If you hear people talk about mil, they're talking about MILRAD, which I do not understand. I do not know how to use. Everybody tells me it's so much better.
At least it's more in what you're comfortable with, what you can math out in your head real quick.
But, you know, I can understand inches and feet. I don't understand millimeters and centimeters and kilometers. And this and that. I can judge inches. You know, with my MOA, it's going to be 200 yards is 2 inches. So if I move this thing, if I move this dial, a click, what's a quarter? I'm going to go a quarter of the distance to 2 inches. Right? I'm going to move a half inch. If I'm at 400 yards and I click my dial, I'm moving 1 inch. And so forth. It's not hard to figure. It's not hard to figure because we know how to think in inches.
Yeah.
Milrad, I wish you luck.
It's its own animal.
And granted, you can get finer adjustments and that kind of thing, from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, scope's made in both MOA or MRAD.
You know, everybody tells me I'm old-fashioned and everything else, and all I know is I generally tend to hit what I shoot at. As I've noticed you do,
Yeah.
and as I've noticed your daughter does. So we got to be doing something right. In other words, guys, what we're saying is, people overcomplicate this. It's complicated enough.
Yes.
It's complicated enough without making it harder on yourself. But anyway, let's get on to some more definitions. You guys, these are terms you're going to hear. We just want to make sure to get these terms out there and get them kind of explained. Headspace. People talk about, I don't know what the headspace is doing with my rifle, or if I need to adjust the headspace on my rifle. And the truth be told, most people don't even know what headspace is. And I've seen guys writing articles that were so-called professional people that were trying to explain headspace and made it sound like a course in NASA science. I was confused. I didn't know what the hell they were talking. By the end of that article, I didn't know what the hell headspace was. And, you know, I had to shake that shit off and get back in the right head zone. But guys, the headspace is simply the distance from your bolt face to the back of the cartridge. It's the distance from your bolt face to here. It's not hard. People write 20-page dissertations on what headspace is. It's the distance from the bolt face to here. Now, we could write a 20-page dissertation on how do you set that.
Yeah.
But what it is doesn't change. It's just simply the distance from the bolt face to here. And generally, the tighter you can set the headspace, the better off you are. There are some downsides to that, maybe, depending on who you are and how you feel about things. You do end up having to load for your rifle because you end up having to check headspace 2 or 3 times during the loading process to make sure that you're keeping everything where you need it. Which is what, personally I do. Even, this round right here that I've got in my hand, it's a 375 Raptor. And this is truly a sub-half minute round at 500 yards. This round is shooting slightly under 2 inches at 550 yards. And it's done it time and time and time and time again. It's not like a one-time occurrence. You can take this load and either one of those two rifles we were talking about earlier, either one, don't matter.
Kyle said I had mental images from Brian Litt's Applied Ballistics book spinning in my head when you said rocket science.
Oh, I've got those books. And James and I were actually talking about that earlier. It's like, you know, people that's trying to get into it and they're reading these, hell, it's like advanced, you know, this is, you know, it's like 400 level college stuff. And we haven't even got half the terms they're trying to read in there they don't understand. And what we're hoping to do is help lay foundations and give people basic understandings, a basic foundation to build on, and then build it up. And we're going to put it down there in country boy language, or try to.
Yeah.
Country girl. I'm not a girl, but I'll try to talk where they can understand me too. If we need a country girl
You're not
language.
going to mansplain it, are you?
Huh?
You're not going to mansplain it, are you?
Now, if we need somebody to help, we'll get Chloe in here.
Yeah.
I'm just being
You know,
yes.
we'll get her splaining it.
Yeah, she would be better when it comes to those. Any number behind the dot, behind the period. That's when you need her.
Oh yeah, she was testing Chris yesterday on fractions and decimals.
Oh, shit. So anyway, guys, headspace is simply the distance from the bolt face to the rear of the cartridge. The tighter you can keep that headspace, generally speaking, the more accurate you make your rifle. That's a generalization, but I don't think it's reaching that broad. Do you?
Chloe said he failed. She's a mess. Her and Chris pick on each other a lot.
Now, the next term that we have is rate of twist. Okay? You hear people talk about twist rate, rate of twist. What's some other ways it's referred to?
Basically just.
Well, in Europe,
just
I've
twist.
seen it written as barrel spin in some
I mean, you might see it on
European or Eastern. That may have been just because that's how they translated the words.
yeah, you see it on the side of your gun and
Yeah.
kind of be curious about what it is, what it does, how
So-
it applies.
You want to do this one? I'm trying to give you some talking time.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm getting dry.
You're getting dry. Have some more black rifle.
Oh.
Or,
Whoa, you bastard. Are you armed? Sir, are you armed?
maybe.
I challenge you to a duel. You have insulted the integrity of the store.
I mean, the squash, the squash.
Bunker blend.
I think I've done had too much already.
What you putting in that coffee?
Nothing nowadays.
You ain't been back by the stove, have you?
No.
Okay. All right.
You
Gail,
didn't see that shackle that Stephanie put on me right here.
Oh,
Gail said I did do something right. I had smart children and grandchildren.
yes. Rate of twist. Okay, we'll get
That
to
was
that.
funny.
Since I guess I'm gonna have to take it. You'll see it written several ways. You'll hear it referred to as, we're gonna use this one, 1 in 10. Or you'll see a 1 slash and a 10.
How about
Sometimes you
one
would just see a
Colt?
caliber stamp, like, for example, 308 Winchester, and then there's a 10 stamped over to the side.
Or 10 twist.
Yeah. And they'd say, oh, it's a 10 twist, which would mean what that's telling you is the bullet makes a full rotation, one full rotation every 10 inches. Okay? So when you see that number, that bullet is making one full rotation, thus 1. And then in this case, that we're using 10. Or if you're looking at a lot of the 5.56 or a lot of the 22 centerfires, you'll see it 1 in 7, 1 in 7.5, 1 in 6, 1 in 8. You go back to the old days, it was 1 in 12, 1 in 14.
Yeah, but bullet technology has advanced to the point to where
We need
we
the
got
faster.
them big longer
Nice
longer
long
bullets
bullets.
with them high VCs. You got to have a faster twist to spin them out to keep them stabilized for longer ranges.
Mm-hmm.
And that touches back on the boat tail, flat bays. I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying. But when you say rate of twist, I'm sitting here thinking, 6 millimeter, 115 grain DTAX, 7 or 7.5, 26 or 24 inches, 29, 20, 24 or 26 inch barrel.
There's lots of debates like it that once people understand,
Yeah.
I see people that hear these conversations. They're around a couple of 2 or 3 people that know what they're talking about. They hear these conversations. They want to be part of them, but they just look. They're lost because they don't have definitions and they don't really get the conversation. But they want to be part of it. And nobody really means to leave them out.
But you don't want to have to go back and explain the basics.
But rate of twist, whatever you see it is, it's usually going to be 1 in whatever. It's going to be a 1 in whatever's appropriate for that caliber and bullet weight.
Yeah.
Josh Smith said faster the twist, run a heavier bullet to stabilize.
Right, fast twist, heavy bullets. Slow twist, light bullets.
Mm-hmm.
That's a general rule of thumb. And then you kind of have your I guess you say medium rate. You got those that's kind of in the middle that'll do maybe not necessarily long range precision shooting, but like for hunting,
Yeah.
you take a 1 in 10 on a 30 caliber. It'll shoot light bullets. It'll still stabilize the heavy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can go from 125s up to 200, 220s.
It makes a great. That's why you see most hunting rifles in 30 caliber nowadays. They're 1 in 10 because it handles so many bullet weights well. But if you start looking at match rifles, you'll see they're getting to 1 in 8.
PRCs.
1 in
PRC.
9s, 1 in 8s, 1 in 7 point. I saw one the other day, 1 in 7.5. Because they're taking, when we're match shooting, we're taking those big, long, heavy bullets, and we need to keep them stable. So we have to speed that rate of twist up. So when you hear rate of twist, that's it's got a twist rate of 10. It means the bullet's making 1 rotation every 10 inches. Lock time. Can you handle that one?
Keep going. I like to reiterate.
Lock time is real simple. It's when you pull the trigger, how much time between the time you pull the trigger and the cartridge ignites.
I had no idea.
Well, I mean, I don't know that measuring it, but that's what that's called. When you pull the trigger, firing pin's falling, cartridge ignites. That's lock time. What's the delay?
Matthias said hi.
How many? Matthias. Well, very glad to have you. Hope all's well. He's in Brazil,
I believe so. They sent us stars.
and he's so good about that.
That's a long way.
So I mean, that's just lock time is lock time. I don't know much else to say about it.
Yeah.
Although the faster your lock time, usually the more accurate you are, because you have less time for things to move.
You don't really think much about lock time until you get some delayed primers. And then your pucker factor increases substantially.
Or when you go from a kind of rough trigger to a really good trigger,
Yeah.
and with a rough trigger, you're used to a little longer lock time, boom. And then when you get on the better trigger, it's not that you're pulling it faster, which you are, you're doing it faster, but generally everything's moving faster.
Yeah.
You generally get firing pin moving faster, you got less time on the trigger, so lock time speeds up. Would you like to talk about scope bases and rings?
I'm thinking Night Force all the way, but it does play a big part in it. You know, you need to, I guess you could, if you got a Night Force, invest in the rings, something rock solid that's guaranteed to lock up. Zero, it's not gonna move. If you drop your gun out of a tree, pick it up, it's still gonna be on zero. If you buy a Tasco, you put Tasco rings on it, you're gonna have problems.
Yeah, but they'll still be there when a Tasco will still be there when that damn vortex is going back to the factory.
Yeah, for realignment.
Miss Gail sent us 99 stars.
But no, guys, scope bases and rings are things people talk about and gloss over. And it's real simple. The scope is what attaches to the gun, or the scope base attaches to the gun to hold the rings that hold the scope. If those aren't solid, your gun's not going to shoot.
It'll shoot all over the place, and you won't know what's wrong with it. You'll think it's the gun instead of what the real problem is.
Chris, I don't believe we do. And Josh Smith said NF all the way, lap the rings.
Yes.
I have never found a set of Night Force rings that needed lapping. And I've measured them. I've taken them back here. I've had Frank measure them. We put them on, very precise machinist tools. They just don't need it. Those and American Defense, I think it was. They're as true as you're going to get them.
Yeah, on a quality base.
I've not found the need to lap those. Now, there are a lot out there that need to be lapped. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The majority for long-range shooters, not necessarily hunters, but for long-range shooters, the majority need to be.
Yeah, you can run less risk of damaging the scope, tightening it down, if it's true.
He said he had 2 sets last year that needed lapping, unfortunately.
That's strange.
What was the base though? Night Force base?
That's not going to matter if you got the lap to range. You're going to have that's because you have a different. There's something that's going to keep you concentric inside when the rings are put together.
I've never experienced that with putting Night Force base on and putting Night Force rings on. They've always been true. I mean, I have a lapping kit and I check them just to verify because these scopes ain't cheap, so I want to make sure it's right.
And there's another thing. Anything made by man, that's why you're checking them.
Yeah.
He happened, unfortunately. I'm not being a smartass. I mean, I'm saying I mean. I really hate for him that he had that experience with them.
Yeah.
But we check everything because if it's made by man, it can break or it can be off or it could be.
Kyle's being facetious. He said liquid lap, a.k.a. Roxette. Then he said, I jest. No Roxette. Oh, my goodness.
That's kind of rough. All right, next one. Trigger pull.
That I do know.
Okay. When we talk about trigger pull, it's simply the weight of the trigger, the amount of force it takes to make the trigger break. That can also include having travel in the front of the trigger or having travel behind the trigger after it breaks.
He said he used extreme duty rings.
Extreme duty.
That's odd. But
Matthias is asking, what weapon do we sell the most in our store?
I would bear the question in what regard?
Well, overall, we sell handguns more than anything.
Yes.
Okay, and I think if you checked any gun shop in America and asked them, and they go count, they're going to sell more handguns overall than anything else. We sell a ton of rifles. From hunting rifles to, 22 plinkers to the custom guns we're building here in the store. Which one do we sell the most? Overall, it'd be handguns, and probably the handgun that sells the most, you sell the most of, is probably still Glock. Sig had a moment there.
And the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 is definitely sneaking up on all of them.
Yeah, that is a great little pistol. And the Shield X, I love that gun.
We can't keep them. Neither one of them.
But with the trigger pull, a lot of people, there's what's called slop. That's in the front of your trigger where it's moving. It moves back and you kind of hit the wall. Then there's what's called over travel. That means once the trigger breaks and releases the sear, that the trigger keeps moving. And that's where a lot of people miss a shot. And, people tell me all the time, I need a really light trigger. I need this, I need that. No, you just need a good trigger.
Yeah.
I can a lot of times hand a person a 2-pound trigger that's not used to shooting a good quality trigger, and they will argue with me that's not a 2-pound trigger. They'll think it's half pound or. But trigger pull is the quality. Actually, it means the weight that it takes to set the trigger off. Length of pull. Length of pull is. Do you want to define that one? No.
Here.
Length of pull
Here we go.
is the distance that you need the gun, the length you need the rifle to be from the stock to the trigger.
I'm going to hand you this one. You can show them.
Oh, God, that gun's probably got a 15-inch length of pull.
It probably does.
Things
But
is
from-
older than both of us, Tom.
From here to here, you want that to be to fit you when you're in your shooting gear, and so that when you get in position with the rifle, it's comfortable. It's sitting right where it should, sitting with your cheek where it should, and allows you to be be comfortable and at home behind the rifle where you can stay connected to it.
Josh Smith said length of pull equals Glock, LOL. He then removed his comment.
Eye relief.
Oh man. Night Force.
I know Night Force, but what is eye relief?
It's just getting the full view of the optic, so you don't have any black spots in there. Make sure you don't have any black areas in your reticle. Being comfortable with being on the gun and having full field, full view.
Again, it goes into fitting your gun to you. Once you've got the length of pull right, so
Yeah.
that the gun fits to your face and your shoulder. Now, when you set the scope on, it's going to have a certain amount of distance that scope has to be from your eye for you to be able to see it. Some guns have some scopes have a short eye relief. Some have a generous eye relief. Some have a very tight eye box. Some have a generous eye box. but it's basically eye relief is the minimum distance that the edge of the scope is from your eye.
Josh Smith said anchor point to sight view.
That's it.
Yeah.
And as we talk about that, the other things with scopes that a lot of people, when we're talking about shooting and getting things together, is I'll say something like, you know, you have an adjustment back there on the ocular lens. And they look at me like I got three heads.
I would.
Well, the ocular lens is simply the one that's back here closest to your eye.
Yes.
The objective lens is the one up front.
Yeah.
So
Using all-
ocular, objective.
Okay.
Time of
And-
flight.
Do you feel like you're being tested?
Yeah, because no, not tested, but I'm trying to keep up with Tom here. He's doing so good. And time of flight, from the time the bullet leaves the barrel till it hits the target,
That's it.
simple.
But you'd be surprised how many people don't know.
I know, but you're going to explain it for us.
That's it. That was pretty explained. I was trying to hand you an easy one.
My mind put the brakes on for a minute. We got it.
Yeah. How long? Sometimes the bullet leaves the muzzle till it hits the target.
SAS, we will be live again tomorrow night, so just watch out for that.
Yeah. Tomorrow night we got the countdown that that was requested.
Yes.
How to properly measure group size. All right. I think this is a demonstration. I should have something ready.
Yeah.
How about that? Oh, yeah.
Have a group here, and yeah, man, a set of calipers right over there. Okay, so y'all gotta let me get something to eat. My blood sugar's dropping over. Seriously.
Okay. Here's your caliper.
We're starting to shake.
Yeah, well, that happens.
Starting to sound like me. All right, get these things zeroed back out.
All right. So you can see we got a group here. And what we're going to do is he's going to measure this group at its widest point.
Is that a flyer?
That one don't count.
Okay. I'm gonna go about 0.615.
All right. So that measures 0.615. Now that was shot with a 308. So the bullet diameter is 308. We're going to subtract 308 from 615. Which leaves us at 0.307. So that group measures out at 0.307.
Yeah.
That's a 10-shot group too.
10 shots?
Yeah.
All right.
Not too shabby.
No.
Bradley Reese wants to know the best powder for subsonic 9mm cast bullets, 147 grain, and through a suppressor.
One, don't cast bullets to a suppressor is really not a good idea.
There you go.
I would highly recommend powder coating or what's some of the other stuff they're using on them? Molly
Molly coat.
Molly coating bullet, because you'll end up with a lead buildup in your can, and that can be problematic even when you're running subs. Right off the top of my head, I'd probably look like Accurate Arms number 2. It would be a little cleaner. 231 Winchester 231 would probably work. It's going to be a little dirty, especially with the lead bullets. That's where you really want Molly or powder coat. But it would be a good one to get to go sub with.
Yeah.
Um,
I load a lot with Hodgkins Tight Group.
He said he power coat.
AA number 2, AA number 5. Maybe VIT 3N37.
Where does this come from? I'm like, where did all this information
Unique
come
would be
from?
a bit dirty for that, even if you can find it. HS6.
Yeah.
Any of those should work just fine. It's, with 147s, it's not hard to keep them sub.
Find out what your gun likes.
Yeah, I mean, most of your 147s aren't running over about 900 feet a second anyway. But those would be some powders. The VIT 3N37, if I'm remembering right, and I'm doing this off memory,
That's what he said he was thinking was 3N37.
is going to be the cleanest powder. So, now we know how to measure a group. I was having an extremely good day that day.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's pretty good.
So we're going to talk about the unpleasant parts now. What is recoil? It's the amount, technically, it's the amount of energy in foot-pounds that the rifle produces when it hits your shoulder. We go back to simple physics. Every action has an equal but opposite reaction. Okay? The gun is a buffer. Usually the heavier the gun, the more it takes to move the gun, it's going to reduce recoil coming to you. The better the stock is designed to channel the recoil, it can reduce recoil coming to you. Of course, there's things like brakes and those kind of things that you can use.
Suppressors.
Suppressors are the best way to go.
Yes.
But recoil is basically the foot-pounds of energy that are transferred from the rifle to your body. So needless to say, the lower we can keep that, the better we are.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not to be, a lot of people put all these in one basket, and that's the reason I broke this down like I have. Because now we have muzzle blast,
Yeah.
okay? Which is the fireball, and the sound wave that comes off that, which produces the next thing on the list, which is concussion.
Expansion of gases.
Okay? Concussion is the part you feel. It's muzzle blast or the concussion created by the muzzle blast. That's the part you feel hitting your body, or if you're standing to the side spotting, that's where it really gets rough.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, depending on caliber.
Yeah, I mean, some of the calibers we're shooting it don't mean anything, but
375 Raptor with.
yeah, you don't want to be there.
Oh, I was. Not fun.
So, recoil is just foot-pounds of energy that's being transferred from the rifle to you. Muzzle blast and concussion. Muzzle blast is that. It's just that. It's blast. It's
Just the
fire.
shock wave.
It's shock wave. And it creates concussion, which comes back and actually hits you.
Yeah, depending on where you're standing, a lot of it. But I mean, still, bigger the caliber, you're still gonna feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you spotting from behind. I mean, you shooting 338 or a Barrett or Barrett 50, it's gonna rock you.
Everybody feels it.
Yeah,
Three rows down, everybody feels it.
yeah, yeah.
So keep those three things in mind, because when we do start talking about suppressors and that kind of thing, where most people think suppressors are just about sound reduction, they are not. Suppressors are about recoil management. They're about knocking down concussion, taming muzzle blast,
Yes.
and allowing you to shoot better. But I think that's what we got for you tonight. We've been going a while.
Yeah.
I planned on trying to do these in 15, 20-minute sections.
You're
Yeah.
about an hour over that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot of basics that need to be covered.
Yep.
And you know, hopefully people will click in and watch and pay attention, and they'll be able to get something out of this. Just like I said, we're trying to take the complex and make it simple to understand.
Yeah, it's just the foundation. We're going to get a little bit more in depth with
Tonight
with a whole lot of this stuff.
I'm just pouring concrete for the foundation tonight, guys. We will talk. James and I'll talk about how we want to progress in into the next episode,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna figure out how he gets to talk some.
We're getting there. But you do so good at laying a foundation
He
to
does.
build on. I mean, really, seriously, it really does.
Um,
It's more than just entertaining. I mean, it's informative.
so tomorrow night we'll be back with Thursday Night Live at the Gun Shop, and was it Nathan that made the request for the countdown
Yes, I
video?
believe so.
I've spent quite a bit of time working on it. I've spent more time working on shows, I think, in the last week than I have in the last year. Actually, pre-work.
Yes.
Yeah, because you was working on that this morning when I came in.
So we'll have that for you tomorrow with that countdown, and there's going to be some stuff on there I think people will agree with me on. There's going to be some stuff people will argue with me on.
And that's fine.
That's all good. And it's all good. I'm looking forward to it. James, thank you for being here tonight. I hope
Man, I appreciate it.
we get deeper into this series, and
We'll get deeper.
hopefully you and I get out to one of the ranges and
I got just the place.
do a little video and then
I got just the place.
send a little lead down range.
Just send it.
Just send it.
Send it.
You reckon your daughter gonna come out and shoot both of us?
It depends on if she lets me load her ammo. I'll sabotage it.
Oh, okay. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We hope you get something out of this. As we do it for you. Yes.
Miss Gail said, James, I love you, son. Be safe driving home.
Always safe. Always safe.
God bless America. God bless you.